The redesigned 2021 Sienna is Toyota's gambit to avoid a cookie-cutter minivan at all costs. In some ways it's refreshing, but certain other aspects might have you wish the automaker had just stuck to a more conventional approach. As you might expect for any redesigned minivan, the new Sienna has more family-friendly features than you can shake a pogo stick at. Less characteristic of the class, it boasts a risk-taking interior and a hybrid-only drivetrain. And those are some qualities that could turn away as many shoppers as they attract. Now we'll start with styling. It's inspired by Japan's bullet trains, Toyota says, and the Sienna courts some controversy with this gaping lower grille here, but honestly, Toyota's been pushing that theme ever since a late refresh during the Sienna's prior generation. Now the redesign comes in 5 trim levels, all with a 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain, which is, again, the sole offering for 2021. It pairs with front-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive. We evaluated 2 pre-production all-wheel drive examples here with an LE and an XSE. It's a little curious that Toyota would offer the Sienna only as a hybrid, but that's what the situation is, in this case with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder plus an electric motor and a second rear axle motor to facilitate all-wheel drive if equipped. Now it's clear the new Sienna loses a step to its predecessor, which made 296 horsepower, though the deficit isn't as bad as it looks on paper. You step on the gas and the 2021 Sienna's electric motors lend immediate oomph to launch the minivan from a stop. Any need for significant engine power means the inevitable windup as the drivetrain raises revs noisily and not quite in tandem with your right foot, but it comes soon enough. Pedal down acceleration, not quite as quick as the old Sienna, but I'm happy to bid farewell to the outgoing van's indecisive 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of overall acceleration while already in motion, passing power for example, the hybrid drivetrain feels responsive enough. Now, ride quality depends what you get. Shod in 17-inch wheels and higher profile tires, our Sienna LE absorbed bumps with clean, high-quality composure, though some roads could produce slight lateral body movement. Meanwhile, the XSE pairs a sport-tuned suspension with 18-inch wheels and lower profile tires, and the effort makes for kind of a one-dimensional turn toward the firm side. Shock absorption feels altogether less sophisticated with harsh impacts and jittery body movement. Now, front-wheel drive XSEs can have 20-inch wheels with even lower profile tires, which might dial up harshness a little bit more. Not much payoff comes on the handling front for the XSE. Like the LE, it exhibits similarly good dynamics. Now with the battery pack behind the front axle for both fans under the front seats, the Sienna maintains steadfast balance when you're hustling it around sweeping corners. Both fans steer with light effort and direct enough response, though feedback is a little numb enough to allow excessive wandering when you're on center, especially in the LE, which lacks the XSE's sport-tuned steering. Similarly, the sport suspension exhibits slightly less body roll, but the regular setup still corners reasonably flat for what it is, and the tires on both minivans, Bridgestones on the XSE and Falcons on the LE, serve up similarly good lateral grip. Now the inside features hulking shelves and a sky bridge of a center console. This is definitely the most left-field interior for a US Toyota minivan, I think, since the old Previa. Gone is the old Sienna's drop-down center console and floor-level space to throw a medium purse. That's a layout still offered in the rival Honda Odyssey and certain trim levels of the Chrysler Pacifica. In its place is a massive flow-through console that bridges the dashboard and center armrest, but underneath is a large storage area with, well, enough space to throw that medium purse. It's a wide setup overall, but so is the driver's berth. Even for long-legged adults, the console doesn't clip your knees, and if it does, Toyota pads the outboard sections to minimize discomfort. Interior quality in our pre-production test cars was all over the map, with harsh, cheap-looking finishes over much of the dashboard and insufficient padding in areas like the upper doors. The LE has a decent grade of cloth upholstery, but the XLE and XSE have Softex vinyl, which, at least in our XSE example, imparts kind of a rubbery industrial feel. Limited and Platinum models get full leather. Toyota routed hardware for the mechanical gear selector down the front side of the console bin. It's a nice bit of packaging, given such bins often require electronic gear selectors, which we universally dislike. But the selector's rickety operation honestly feels kind of like it's falling apart. Between those console compartments, dashboard shelves, and umpteen door pockets, the Sienna still has plenty of storage space. It also boasts decent forward visibility thanks to door-mounted mirrors and thin A-pillars. Rear visibility is a little less ideal, with bulky second-row head restraints blocking your over-the-shoulder sightlines and a backup camera in dire need of better resolution. A 4.2-inch gauge display and 9-inch touchscreen, the latter with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, are both standard. Although wireless smartphone charging is optional, both smartphone integrations still require physical cords. They're not the wireless connectivity that's gaining traction across the industry. Spaced across all 3 rows are 7 standard USB ports. Options include a 7-inch gauge display, 2 household-style AC outlets, an 11.6-inch rear entertainment system, and a head-up display, so plenty there for families. LE and XLE models seat 8, courtesy of a 3-position bench with a removable middle seat in the second row. Optional on the XLE and standard on higher trims are second-row captain's chairs, which reduce capacity to 7. In any case, space is plentiful all around. No accessing the third row from either side remains a cumbersome multi-step process. Fortunately, those second-row seats have exceptional sliding range. About 12 inches in base models, or roughly double that with the optional extended slide feature by our measuring tape, so you can find a position that lends adult-friendly legroom in both rows. Typical of a minivan, the Sienna's third row folds backwards into a floor cavity. Stow it there, and the available extended slide captain's chairs in the Sienna go nearly as far back as the third row once sat, with enough legroom left over to host a soccer match. Like the outgoing Sienna, the 2021 model offers pop-up leg rests as well for passengers to lounge while the van is parked. Unfortunately, the versatile seating arrangement comes at significant expense to cargo space. Regardless of configuration, the second row seats neither fold down nor come out. Those are provisions both the Odyssey and Pacifica offer. Toyota says that's because of new seat-mounted airbags in the second row. They work in conjunction with curtain airbags across all 3 rows, and they enable those super long sliding seats. Now, that explanation doesn't justify why the chairs without the extended slide feature still have the extra airbags and thus no removability. In any case, maximizing cargo room requires locking those second row chairs into a collapsed forward position, similar to a provision offered in the old Sienna, but for maximum room, the old chairs were fully removable, and these are not. The seat backs don't even fold down to maximize usable cargo depth, and so as such, the setup shaves a would-be 8 feet or so of usable cargo depth at floor level, down to about 6 feet with the seats collapsed forward, again by our measuring tape. In other words, the non-removable second row reduces maximum cargo room by about a quarter, and that's going to come into play right about that one time you want to try and fit a couch in here. Minivans have long thrown everything at family shoppers, and the 2021 Sienna serves up plenty, but when you factor in those non-removable seats, the hybrid-only drivetrain, and a few other things, its qualities feel a little more niche than before. If anything, Toyota seems headed to gain fastidious fans of the 4th generation Sienna, even if other audiences shrug it off as something that's maybe not mainstream enough. Minivan shoppers should certainly add it to the list, if only because that list is so short to begin with. There just aren't that many conventional minivans being sold here in America right now. Whether you buy one will depend on whether you find this unconventional approach refreshing or just a little too plain odd.